and click. Hey, this is Thursday, April 16th, regular class. We're going to be getting into Outsiders. I do have the PowerPoint, which will be popping up for you here in just a moment. My goal is that today will work a little bit smoother. I have fingers crossed that things are going to go fairly well. We're going to be reading with you guys. There is a Socrative for today. I'm going to talk about how to take care of all the past Socratives and maybe some good news things and stuff like that. I'm hoping as I go through and do this, you should be able to see the little screen of me over there to the side. We're going to see how this works. All right, so now let's pop over to me screen sharing over here. Screen share. There we go. And I want to screen share this and share. Come on. Yay. All right, so hang on. So I'm going to move this up to there, and I think I can put chat down below it. Hang on. Struggle Town, you're my friend. All right, we'll see how this goes. We'll just cover part of this kid's face. All right, that should work for me. So now I can see chat. All right, let's see what happens. All right, so if you have turned in stuff, I have updated Skyward through last night. So anything that was turned in Skyward-wise should now be good to go and be on there. Those of you who emailed me things this morning, I'm in the process of going through that and taking care of it as best I can. If you are missing any of the past assignments, you can still do all of them. I have not locked you out of them. Here is the drawback that I figured out from both students, and apparently some of your parents have the exact same issues as you. Directions are hard, and apparently reading them are a struggle. If you are wanting to do past assignments, you're gonna have to go to my website, the e-learning page, and read the directions. It tells you what to do on there. If it's a past Socrative, you're gonna have to scroll down, find the question, and then you have to email it to me. If it's gonna be the ones from this week, you have to email me also, but it's not the name Kyvor. I upgraded my Socrative, so now I have different names that I will be using, so there's going to be different ones popping up on there. So you're going to have to read directions, that thing that you hate to do because you're lazy, and apparently some of your parents hate to do because they're also lazy. Hashtag making fun of parents, because the number of parents who've emailed me the exact same thing, and I get to make fun of them, is great. But if you're wanting to make up past assignments, you can. Just contact me. The worst that'll happen is I email you back and make fun of you and say, have you read the directions? And we get a chance to go from there. Make good choices on here. If you annoy me, then you get banned. For the most part, the only real way that you can annoy me is through chat, I think, but some of you guys may try and be creative. Unfortunately, I'm keeping all of you muted. If you have a question, you should be more than welcome to raise your hand, which is a little thing that allows you to pop up, and it has like a little hand raising thing and tells me that your hand is raised, and then I'm more than happy to call on you. If you do that, the only drawback that is going to be, excuse me, is that you have to actually have your name connected to it. Apparently, teachers over at HSE Junior High, the hooligan school, had random kids hijacking and jumping into their Zooms and doing all kinds of horrible things. And so I'm preventing that by making you raise your hand and knowing what your name is. Like here, Pence, you have a question, dear. What's up?
Oh, I was just testing it again.
Good job. Your testing has worked. Yeah, it's like a little button that pops up on there, and you can see it on my screen. It tells me your name. It says you have a question, and then I can unmute you to answer your question. Not a problem. And now I can lower your hand, and we're good to go. So if you have a question, feel free to pop up, and it'll let me know, then I can go to it from there. Otherwise, it's mostly me just talking at you. I wish I could have more conversations with you, because I think that's a lot more fun hearing your voices. But if I unmuted all of you, half of you would just be saying how bored you were. The other half would be having all of your dogs making noise. And then the other half of you would just be like making chewing sounds. And yes, I know that you can't have 3 1/2s, but some of those 1/2s overlap each other like a giant Venn diagram. Anyway, it makes sense to me. Computer, do a thing, computer. There we go. So starting next week, they're going to be doing a Spirit Week. If you are interested in joining in, you get a chance to win a gift card. Each day you have to submit information via social media. And now here's the drawback. This is being run by old people. So their version of social media is different than your version of social media. Their social media is Twitter, which I think only 6th, 7th graders have. Facebook, otherwise known as Boomer Book, which I think most of you guys try to avoid so you don't get made fun of. And then Instagram, which some of you guys do have. They are not doing Snapchat and they're not doing TikTok, which is too bad because I love TikTok. But to each their own. But here's what you do. You just take a picture of it and then you submit it, and then they're going to pick a winner each day. I will most definitely be participating in this because I think it would be awesome. But anyway, here is our week for next week. Monday, show off your favorite pajamas, and so I'll be showing you my pajamas. If you've watched my TikToks, you'll see my Princess Leia pajamas that I plan on sending a picture of. If you've not seen my TikTok of me in Princess Leia pajamas, you're missing out. Tuesday, your favorite silly socks or a pretty pedicure. I can tell you right now, I'm doing a pedicure because I'm going to have my daughter paint my toes because I'm a very pretty boy. I might also do socks because I'm pretty special too. Wednesday, FJH Spirit wear or school colors. That one's easy. Thursday, your throwback pictures. I'm going to try and find pictures from my first year of teaching when I was like 22 years old. So I'm going to try and do throwback pictures from before you were born. And then Friday, show off how you dress for success. I have no idea what I'm going to do for that one. But anyway, I'll send this out on Remind also to try and help you guys out from there. If you get a gift card, if you're wanting to do it, I sent this out on Remind to you guys already and out to parents. But anyway, just trying to help you guys out as far as stuff goes from there. Click. All right, for today, if you are wanting to get this done, here's what I'm going to recommend. Right now, screenshot this. Just find a way to look at it and go clicky, clicky, because later on, the only way to get to this later is wait till I post the video, because I am no longer putting the question up on my website. I am making you watch the video to get the question, because apparently some kids were making poor choices and they were just going to the question and not watching the videos. So I'm having to find a way to get around that. So now I'm putting the question in here. So if you're watching it now, it's easy. You just go ahead and screenshot it. Those other lazy kids, they're going to be out of luck and they're going to have to come back and find issues from there. Hang on one second. No. Mohammed, be careful. You're close to getting banned with all typing in capital letters. It's annoying and you're doing random stuff. So if you continue, you're going to find yourself disappearing. Choices. So anyway, for today, here's your question. It is not the room name Kyvorp, because I'm doing an individual one for today. It is Kyvorp 41620. That is just today's date, April 16th of 2020. So you just type in today's as the Kyvorp one. It'll be open for the 24 hours for today, and then you can log in and you'll be good. Here's your question. Pick one character from the book so far and explain how you would connect them to someone that you know personally using a well thought out sentence. So we're going to be meeting a whole bunch of characters in the book today. So you're going to pick whichever one you want to connect to someone that you like or that you know, whether it's a bully or a nice person like that, and explain it. Also, if you have bad grammar, horrible spelling, short, poor info, it's going to give you a lower grade. My goal is to give you a 5, but if you do a bad job, some of you guys like don't use capital letters, it drives me insane. I'm dropping your grade down to a 3 or a 4. If you put really detailed information in there and make me all smiley, then I'm going to give you a 6. And so some of you guys may have noticed I'm entering your grades. That's why you get a 6. I really enjoyed what you put in there. Some of you guys hardly have horrible grammar and you're like, me likey person does thing, yay, yay, rah. That hurts my brain to read. So I'm going to give you like a 3. So just letting you know as you go through and do it. From yesterday, this was yesterday's question. If you did not do it, you can screenshot it right now to try and help yourself out. But these are the ones that you had to do for that one to try and help you. The only reason I put this on here was 1, to help the kids who were gone yesterday. And then 2, I really miss having discussions with you guys. That's why I like doing these, is the whole classroom discussion thing. E-learning is great for me just spitting information at you, but I like talking to you and hearing this up. Like I wanted to go through there and find out your guys' like number 1 is a great conversation. The popular kids, the most important kids at the school, because then we get into who do you think the most important kids are to the school, because someone has to be most important to the school. And so we get into the conversation about how do we pick the most important kids at the school, which is a great conversation to have. But I can't have that with myself. I want to hear your voices. And I could unmute you all, but then you'd all just yell at me and have dogs barking. So sadness. This is one of the many reasons why I don't like e-learning. I don't like talking at you. I like talking with you because y'all have brains and you're fun to talk to. But whatever, life goes on. All right, so found out yesterday. I'm not allowed in the school. I can't get your books. I have no idea when I'm going to get a chance to get in to get your book. So if you don't have a copy of The Outsiders, I can't help you. there's not a whole lot I can do. So essentially, you're going to have to either go out and find your own copy of it, or you're going to have to use the ebook version, or there's an audio book version, or listen to me as I'm reading or something like that. But yeah, they're not letting teachers into the building at all, so I have nothing I can do, which is awful. It makes me sad. All right, so now we're going to get to the reading. My goal is I'm going to get through all of the first chapter, and then maybe begin the second. We'll see. I want to get through at least the first chapter with you guys from there. That'll give you enough information to be able to answer the question. Plus, I have a whole bunch of fun stuff on the PowerPoint to talk about and stuff like that to try and help you out. Here is where, one, you get to sort of sit back and listen to my melodic voice. I recommend looking at your screen every once in a while because I'm going to have the PowerPoints on there to help you. If you're still Latrell and you're playing video games, you're probably going to want to pause the game. Or if it's not one that you can pause because you're playing the Call of Duty, the new one that's online, you're going to have to like kill yourself on there or something like that. But anyway, you're going to want to see the screen every once in a while. So yesterday, we didn't get very far into it, just far enough for me to start talking about this guy, which was Paul Newman, who was also the guy from Cars, who also has his own salad dressing line, and the fact that it started off with the main character, Pony Boy, talking to us about the fact that he has like his brother Soda Pop, which is his actual name, and he wanted to go to a movie theater and stuff like that. I'm going to put this screen up there to help you because this is the gang that he's sort of introducing people. So we're going to, for those of you who actually have your book, I'm continuing on page 2 towards that last paragraph. And now we get to get into more learning about the characters. Anyway, I went on walking home. This is as he leaves the movie theater, thinking about the movie and then suddenly wishing I had some company. The greasers can't walk alone too much or they'll get jumped or someone will come by and scream, "Greaser!" at them, which doesn't make you feel too hot, if you know what I mean. We get jumped by the socials. I'm not sure how you spell it, but it's the abbreviation for the socials, the jet set, the West Side rich kids. It's like the term greaser, which is used to class all us boys on the east side. We're poorer than the socials and the middle class. I reckon we're wilder too. Not like the socials who jump greasers and wreck houses and throw beer blasts for kicks and get editorials in the paper for being a public disgrace one day and an asset to society the next. Greasers are they're almost like hoods. We steal things. We drive old souped up cars and hold up gas stations and have a gang fight once in a while. I don't mean I do things like that. My brother Derry would kill me if I got into trouble with the police. I mean, since mom and dad were killed in an auto wreck, the three of us get to stay together only as long as we behave. So Soda and I stay out of trouble as much as we can, and we're careful not to get caught when we can't. I only mean that most greasers do things like that. Just like we wear our hair long and dress in blue jeans and t-shirts, or leave our shirt tails out and wear leather jackets and tennis shoes or boots. I'm not saying that either the socias or greasers are better. That's just the way things are. I could have waited to go to the movies until Derry or Soda Pop got off work. They would have gone with me or driven me there or walked along. Although Soda just can't sit still long enough to enjoy a movie, and they bore Derry to death. Derry thinks his life is enough without inspecting other people's. Or I could have gotten one of the gang to come along. One of the 4 boys Derry and Soda and I have grown up with and consider family. We're almost as close as brothers. When you grow up in a tight-knit neighborhood like ours, you get to know each other real well. If I'd thought about it, I could have called Derry. He would have come by on his way home and picked me up, or Two-Bit Matthews, one of our gang. He would have come to get me in his car if I'd asked him, but sometimes I just don't use my head. It drives my brother Derry nuts when I do stuff like that, because I'm supposed to be smart. I make good grades, have a high IQ and everything, but I don't use my head. Besides, I like walking. I about decided I didn't like it so much, though, when I spotted that red Corvair trailing me. I was almost 2 blocks from home then, so I started walking a little faster. I'd never been jumped, but I'd seen Johnny after 4 socias got hold of him. It wasn't pretty. Johnny was scared of his own shadow after that. Johnny was 16 then. Quick pause. Time out. 1, so the main guy, Pony Boy, the story he's telling you, he's talking about his gang, this group of people he's from. So yesterday, one of the options you guys got to choose from said that you could, whatever social group you're part of, you're always going to be part of, like nerd or jock or stuff like that. Well, he's part of a social group called the Greasers, which is like from the back of the 1950s. I mean, I'm sure they still have people nowadays who are like that, but they have like the leather coats, and they drove like the souped up cars and the cigarettes rolled up in their sleeve. If you think about like Elvis Presley, if you know who he is back in his early days, if you've seen the movie Grease with John Travolta, that would be sort of like what they're talking about there. So they're sort of like the hooligan kids in the thing. And then the kids that they fight against are the socias, which stands for socials. And so I mean, when you guys read it, you're going to say socks all the time because you're goobers and it's just what you're going to do. But it stands for socials. And so SOCS, socias. And so these would be like the rich kids that they sort of fight against and have issues and stuff like that. This is the car that he's talking about, a red Corvair that a bunch of socias are driving that they come pulling up behind him in. So this is because the book is set back in the late 50s, early 60s. And so this is the red Corvair that's going to pull up and coming after him. Oh, nah. I knew it wasn't any use, though. The fast walking, I mean. Even before the Corvair pulled up beside me and 5 socias got out, I got pretty scared. I'm kind of small for 14, even though I have a good build, and those guys were bigger than me. I automatically hitched my thumbs in my jeans and slouched, wondering if I could get away if I made a break for it. And I remember Johnny, his face all cut up and bruised, and I remembered how he'd cried when we found him, half conscious in the corner lot. I mean, Johnny had it awful rough at home. It took a lot to make him cry. I was sweating something fierce, although I was cold, and I could feel my palms getting clammy and the perspiration running down my back. I get like that when I'm real scared. I glanced around for a pop bottle or a stick or something. Steve Randall, Soda's best buddy, he once held off 4 guys with a busted pop bottle, but there was nothing. Quick time out here. When he's talking about using a busted pop bottle, he doesn't mean like the plastic ones that you guys get at school and like the machine. Like the old days, they had the glass ones, which you can still get like a glass Coke bottle like that. You would take the bottle, smash it on the ground, and it has like all the jagged edges, and then you could like stab a fool. And so that's what he's talking about doing, was like smashing the glass bottle and stabbing somebody with it. If you tried to use like a current pop, like a plastic pop bottle to like defend yourself when you're getting mugged, you just hit them in the head like donk, 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 and they just laugh at you and like shank you with a knife. So I don't want you guys like go out and pick a gang fight and use like a plastic bottle to defend yourself. That's probably not going to work so well. Anyway, so I stood there like a bump on a log while they surrounded me. And I don't use my head. They walked around slowly, silently, smiling. "Hey, Grease," one said in an over-friendly voice. "We're going to do you a favor, Greaser. We're going to cut all that long, greasy hair off." He had on a Madras shirt. I can still see it. Blue Madras. One of them laughed and then cussed me out in a low voice. I couldn't think of anything to say. There just isn't a whole lot you can say while waiting to get mugged, so I kept my mouth shut. Another quick timeout. Where they're currently beating him up is this place where it's like an empty lot looking thing. I gotta do here and move this over to here so I can see it. Hang on to make it easier on me. There we go. That's what the empty lot is they're talking about. And so it's something along the lines of if you have like a neighborhood. I found this one in the Autumn Woods. Anyway, the neighborhood. I went through there like in some neighborhoods, you still have like these empty lot areas where there could be a house and there's no house anywhere. My old neighborhood where I used to live has a whole bunch of them that have like where it could be a house. They turn it into like a park. That's what he's talking about when he says this empty lot where they pulled up next to him. It's just in a neighborhood where they could build a house. They've just not built a house yet. In Fishers, we don't have a whole lot of empty lots because they've built so many neighborhoods that they're like all filled up where we are. So this empty lot plays a big role in his area where they sort of like all hang out together and stuff like that. It's just an empty spot in the neighborhood. When he talks about what they're wearing, this is the Madras that the socials are wearing. This type of outfit. It was real popular from American Eagle. No, Hollister had these like 5 years ago. They came back, and I was making fun of kids and calling them socias because a whole bunch of kids were wearing these again. But now it's no longer cool. But for one time they were, and then it goes back and forth. But it's a really weird looking outfit. Anyway, that's what the socia's wearing. You need a haircut, greaser? The medium-sized blonde pulled a knife out of his back pocket and flipped the blade open. I finally thought of something to say. No! I was backing up away from that knife. Of course, I backed right into one of them. They had me down in a second. They had my arms and legs pinned down, and one of them was sitting on my chest and his knees on my elbows. And if you don't think that hurts, you're crazy. I could smell English leather shaving lotion and stale tobacco, and I wondered foolishly if I'd suffocate before they did anything. I was so scared, so bad I was wishing I would. I fought to get loose and almost did for a second. Then they tightened up on me, and the one on my chest slugged me a couple of times. So I lay still, swearing at them between gasps. A blade was held against my throat. How'd you like that haircut to begin just below the chin? It occurred to me then, they could kill me. I went wild. I started screaming for soda, dairy, anyone. Someone put his hand over my mouth, and I bit it as hard as I could, tasting the blood running through my teeth. I heard a muttered curse and got slugged again, and then they were stuffing a handkerchief in my mouth, and one of them kept saying, "Shut him up, for Pete's sake, shut him up!" Well, then there were shouts and the pounding of feet, and the socias jumped up and left me lying there, gasping. I lay there and wondered what in the world was happening. People were jumping over me and running by me, and I was too dazed to figure it out. And then someone had me under the armpits and was hauling me to my feet. It was Derry. "Are you all right, pony boy?" He was shaking me, and I wished he'd stop. I was dizzy enough anyway. I could tell it was Derry, though, partly because of the voice and partly because Derry is always rough with me without meaning to be. "Now, I'm okay. Quit shaking me, Derry. I'm okay." He stopped instantly. "I'm sorry." He wasn't really. Derry isn't ever sorry for anything he does. It seems funny to me that he should look just exactly like my father and act exactly the opposite from him. My father was only 40 when he died, and he looked 25, and a lot of people thought Derry and Dad were brothers instead of father and son, but they only looked alike. My father was never rough with anyone without meaning to be. Derry is 6'2", broad-shouldered, muscular. He's got dark brown hair that kicks out in front and a slight cowlick in the back, just like Dad's. But Derry's eyes are his own. He's got eyes that are like two pieces of pale blue-green ice. They've got a determined set to them, like the rest of them. He looks older than 20, tough, cool, smart. He'd be real handsome if his eyes weren't so cold. He doesn't understand anything that's not plain, hard fact. But he uses his head. One, they're going to talk about cocking an eyebrow here in just a moment. This we have like the one eyebrow that goes up higher than the other one. And so I found pictures of the cocked eyebrow. That's the Buzz Lightyear when he goes in the Spanish mode from the second Toy Story. The top one is a doctor from Doctor Who, and the other guy is The Rock, Mr. Dwayne Johnson, who apparently is you can smell what he's cooking. And then they talk about the cow look that Derry has, and that's when you have hair that just sort of sticks up. Sort of like my hair right there. It just keeps whatever. I just roll with it. And so that's what a cowlick is. We're talking about Derry with this cowlick coming up. I sat down again, rubbing my cheek where I'd been slugged the most. Derry jammed his fists in his pockets. "They didn't hurt you too bad, did they?" "They did. I was smarting and aching, and my chest was sore, and I was so nervous. My hands were shaking, and I wanted to start bawling, but you just don't say that to Derry." "I'm okay." Soda Pop came loping back. By then, I'd figured that all the noise I'd heard was the gang coming to rescue me. He dropped down beside me, examining my head. "You got caught up a little, huh, pony boy?" I looked at him blankly. I did? He pulled out a handkerchief, wet the end of it with his tongue, and pressed it gently against the side of my head. "You're bleeding like a stuck pig." I am? Look. He showed me the handkerchief, reddened as if by magic. "Did they pull a blade on you?" I remembered that voice. "You need a haircut, greaser?" The blade must have slipped while he was trying to shut me up. "Yeah." Now, Soda, he's handsomer than anyone else I know. Not like Derry. Soda's like movie star kind of handsome. The kind that people stop on the street to watch go by. He's not as tall as Derry. He's a little slimmer, but he has a finely drawn, sensitive face that somehow manages to be reckless and thoughtful at the same time. He's got dark gold hair that he combs back, long and silky and straight. And in the summer, the sun bleaches it to a shining wheat gold. His eyes are dark brown, lively, dancing, recklessly laughing eyes that can be gentle and sympathetic one moment and blazing with anger the next. He has dad's eyes. But Soda's one of a kind. He can get drunk in a drag race or dancing without ever getting near alcohol. In our neighborhood, it's rare to find a kid who doesn't drink once in a while. But Soda never touches a drop. He doesn't need to. He gets drunk on just plain living, and he understands everybody. With Soda Pop, they're going to talk about the fact that kids that he hangs out with drink and make poor choices. But Soda Pop acts drunk without actually drinking. The idea being is that he's just that kind of friend who's outgoing and crazy and friendly, that kid who likes to bring attention to himself and doesn't care what other people think. So he acts drunk even though he's not been drinking at all. He's just that wild, friendly, outgoing personality. Everybody just sort of loves Soda. He looked at me more closely. I looked away hurriedly because, if you want to know the truth, I was starting to bawl, meaning cry. I knew I was as white as I felt, and I was shaking like a leaf. Soda just put his hand on my shoulder. Easy, pony boy. I ain't going to hurt you no more. I know, I said. But the ground began to blur, and I felt hot tears running down my cheeks. I brushed them away impatiently. I'm just a little spooked, that's all. I drew a quivering breath and quit crying. You just don't cry in front of Derry. Not unless you're hurt like Johnny had been that day we found him in the vacant lot. Compared to Johnny, I wasn't hurt at all. Soda rubbed my hair. You're an okay kid, Pony. I had to grin at him. Soda can make you grin no matter what. I guess it's because he's always grinning so much himself. You're crazy, Soda. You're out of your mind. Derry looked like he'd like to knock our heads together. You're both nuts. Soda merely cocked one eyebrow, a trick he'd picked up from Two-Bit. Seems to run in the family. Derry stared at me for a second, then cracked a grin. Soda Pop isn't afraid of him like everyone else and enjoys teasing him. I'd just as soon tease a full-grown grizzly, but for some reason, Derry seems to like being teased by Soda. Another quick timeout. Officially, if you guys are wanting to, you can stop here because this is like at the 25-minute mark, which is as long as I wanted to go. But you're going to need to finish chapter 1 for next Tuesday. That's where I'm going to pick up and it's going to connect to the bell work. I'm going to go ahead and finish out chapter 1 for those of you who don't want to have to read it on your own. I have some more pictures to show you and discussion-y things, but to respect your time, if you're wanting to stop now, completely understand it. Just make sure you finish chapter 1 on your own and then do the bell work for next Monday. Otherwise, for those of you who don't want to have to read it on your own, I'm going to go ahead and just keep reading to finish out the rest of the chapter for you. Our gang had chased the Socias to their car and heaved rocks at them. They came running toward us now. 4 lean, hard guys. They were all as tough as nails and looked it. I'd grown up with them, and they accepted me, even though I was younger, because I was Derry and Soda's kid brother, and I kept my mouth shut good. Steve Randall was 17, tall and lean, with thick, greasy hair he kept combed in complicated swirls. He was cocky, smart, and Soda's best buddy since grade school. Now, Steve's specialty was cars. He could lift a hubcap quicker and more quietly than anyone in the neighborhood, but he also knew cars upside down and backward, and he could drive anything on wheels. He and Soda worked at the same gas station. Steve part-time and Soda full-time, and their station got more customers than any other one in town. Whether that was because Steve was so good with cars or because Soda attracted girls like honey draws flies, I couldn't tell you. I liked Steve only because he was Soda's best friend. He didn't like me. He thought I was a tag-along and a kid. Soda always took me with them when they went places, if they weren't taking girls, and that bugged Steve. It wasn't my fault. Soda always asked me. I didn't ask him. Soda doesn't think I'm a kid. Again, this is where I hate doing e-learning because I have to have the conversation, see if you guys can figure out what lifting a hubcap means, because it does not mean just actually picking it up. If you don't know what a hubcap is, because most cars nowadays don't even have a hubcap, this is a hubcap. It's the thing that goes on the outside of your wheels. And at one time, if you were an aspiring criminal and you wanted to make money, you would steal a hubcap. So you would go up because you could still resell them for like $5 a hubcap because they were made out of metal and were high quality. And you would take like a screwdriver and you would pop it off, and then you would literally lift up the hubcap. So that's what Steve does. He robs people of their hubcaps by going and popping them off and stealing them. And so here's where I have a hubcap I keep in my classroom. I would show you guys and get out and I'd like walk you guys through the whole stealing of a hubcap thing works for those of you who are wanting to try and make money. I would also tell you, if you're wanting to go out and try to make money now, and you're like, Mr. Broviak, that's great. Coronavirus time, I'm going to get hubcap rich. Hubcaps aren't worth money now. You can buy them at like the dollar store for $0.25 a piece. So don't go out and like steal hubcaps because no one's going to buy them from you. It'd be a complete waste of your time. Unless you want to just make like a really cool necklace out of them, and then more power to you. Let's see, back to this one. This guy. We're going to come to this guy in just a second. 2-Bit Matthews was the oldest of the gang and the wisecracker of the bunch. He was about 6 feet tall, stocky in build, and very proud of his long, rusty-colored sideburns. He had gray eyes and a wide grin, and he couldn't stop making funny remarks to save his life. You couldn't shut up that guy. He always had to get the last bit. Sorry, hiccup. He always had to get his 2 bits worth in, hence his name. Even his teachers forgot his real name was Keith, and we hardly remembered he had one. Life was one big joke to 2-Bit. He was famous for shoplifting and his black-handled switchblade, which he couldn't have acquired without his first talents, and he was always smarting off to the cops. He really couldn't help it. Everything he said was so irresistibly funny that he just had to let the police in on it to brighten up their dull lives. That's the way he explained it to me. He liked fights, blondes, and for some unfathomable reason, school. He was still a junior at 18 and a half, and he never learned anything. He just went for kicks. I liked him real well because he kept us laughing at ourselves as well as at other things. He reminded me of Will Rogers. Maybe it was the grin. Will Rogers is a stand-up comedian from way back in the day, so that's who Will Rogers is they're referring to. Oh, also, this is where I like doing the live version because I bring in a switchblade and like show you guys and stuff like that. And so I get to have like a big switchblade and I get to like show you different types and I get to flip them out and I get to walk through and I fake stab a kid with the switchblade. It's all kinds of fun. But now I don't get to stab a child because e-learning. I can't like stab you on screen. It takes all the joy out of it. If I had to pick the real character of the gang, it'd be Dallas Winston. Dally. I used to like to draw his picture when he was in a dangerous mood, for then I could get his personality down in just a few lines. He had an elfish face with high cheekbones and a pointed chin, small, sharp animal teeth, and ears like a lynx. His hair was almost white. It was so blonde, and he didn't like haircuts or hair oil either, so it fell over his forehead in wisps and kicked out in the back in tufts and curled behind his ears and along the nape of his neck. His eyes were blue, blazing ice, cold with a hatred of the whole world. Dally had spent 3 years on the wild side of New York and been arrested at the age of 10. He was tougher than the rest of us. Tougher, colder, meaner. The shade of difference that separates a greaser from a hood wasn't present in Dally. He was as wild as the boys in the downtown outfits, like Tim Shepard's gang. In New York, Dally blew off steam in gang fights, but here, organized gangs are rarities. They're just small bunches of friends who stick together in the warfares between the social classes. A rumble, when it's called, is usually born of a grudge fight, and the opponents just happen to bring their friends along. I mean, there's a few named gangs around, like the River Kings and the Tiber Street Tigers, but here in the Southwest, there's no gang rivalry, so Dally, even though he could get into a good fight sometimes, he had no specific thing to hate, no rival gang, just socias. And you can't win against them, no matter how hard you try, because they've got all the breaks, and even whipping them isn't going to change that fact. Maybe that's why Dallas was so bitter. Anyway, he had quite a reputation. They have a file on him down at the police station. He'd been arrested, he got drunk, rode in rodeos, lied, cheated, stole, rolled drunks, jumped small kids. He did everything. I didn't like him, but he was smart, and you had to respect him. Another quick timeout. So Dally, if you look up here or at the screen, there's 2 characters that are really similar, Dally and Derry. Derry is his brother, and the only way to remember that is that the word brother has 2 R's in it. B-R-O-T-H-E-R. Dairy has 2 R's in it. Dally has 2 L's in it. Dally is a loser. He is a horrible person throughout the entire book. And so you're going to remember Dally because 2 L's stands for loser, loser. Dally says he jumps small kids. Jumping somebody is not just getting into a fight. Jumping somebody is when you and your friends surprise them and then like you jump out and like attack them. And then he doesn't just jump people, he jumps small children. He rolls drunks. This is where you mug a person when they are drunk at a party and you roll them over and steal from them. Essentially, Dally does all the horrible things. He gets arrested, he gets drunk. He's just an all-around hooligan throughout the entire book. Perla, I see your hand is up. I'm going to unmute you. Perla, what's up?
Okay, so I just joined. What page are we on?
I am at the bottom of page 11.
Okay, thank you.
Not a problem. What a good use of hand raising. Yeah, so Dally is not a good person. You'll figure that out as we go throughout the entire thing. You'll sort of figure out what kind of a hoodlum he is. Johnny Cade was last and least. If you can picture a little dark puppy that's been kicked too many times and is lost in a crowd of strangers, you'll have Johnny. He was the youngest next to me, smaller than the rest, with a slight build. He had big black eyes and a dark tanned face. His hair was jet black and heavily greased and combed to the side, but it was so long that it fell in shaggy bangs across his forehead. He had a nervous, suspicious look in his eyes, and that beating he got from the Socias didn't help matters. He was the gang's pet, everyone's kid brother. His father was always beating him up, and his mother ignored him, except when she was hacked off at something. And then you could hear her yelling at him, clear down at our house. I think he hated that worse than getting whipped. He would have run away 1,000,000 times if we hadn't been there. If it hadn't been for the gang, Johnny would never have known what love and affection are. I wiped my eyes hurriedly. Did you catch them? No, they got away this time. The dirty... Two-Bit went on cheerfully, calling the Socias every name he could think of or make up. Kids okay? I'm okay. I tried to think of something to say. I'm usually pretty quiet around people, even the gang. I changed the subject. I didn't think you were out of the cooler yet, Dally. Good behavior. Got off early. Cooler, by the way, for those of you who have not been in one yet, a cooler is slang for jail. So Dally just got out of jail. We'll find out why a little bit later on. Dallas lit a cigarette, handed it to Johnny. Oh, Dallas and Dally are the same person. Just Dally is a nickname for Dallas, like Johnny is a nickname for Jonathan, or Davy is a nickname for David. Same thing. Everyone sat down to have a smoke and relax. A smoke always lessens the tension. I'm sure you guys know about that too. I'd quit trembling and my color was back. The cigarette was calming me down. Two-Bit cocked an eyebrow. That's a nice looking bruise you got there, kid. I touched my cheek gingerly. Really? Two-Bit nodded sagely. It's a nice cut, too. It makes you look tough. Now, tough and tough are two different words. Tough is the same as rough. Tough means cool, sharp, like a tough-looking Mustang or a tough record. In our neighborhood, both are compliments. Steve flicked his ashes at me. What were you doing walking by your lonesome? Leave it to good old Steve to bring up something like that. I was coming home from the movies. I didn't think. Well, you don't ever think, Derry broke in. Not at home or anywhere when it counts. You must think at school with all those good grades you bring home, and you've always got your nose in a book. But you ever use your head for common sense? Pfft, no sirree, bub. If you did have to go by yourself, you should have carried a blade. I just stared at the hole in the toe of my tennis shoe. Me and Derry just didn't dig each other. I never could please him. He would have hollered at me for carrying a blade if I had carried one. If I brought home B's, he wanted A's. If I got A's, he wanted to make sure they stayed A's. If I was playing football, I should be inside studying. If I was reading, I should be out playing football. He never hollered at Soda Pop, not even when Soda dropped out of school or got tickets for speeding. He just hollered at me. Soda was glaring at him. Hey, leave my kid brother alone, you hear? It ain't his fault he likes to go to the movies. It ain't his fault the Socias like to jump us. If he had been carrying a blade, it would have been a good excuse to cut him to ribbons. Soda always takes up for me. Derry said impatiently, when I want my kid brother to tell me what to do with my other kid brother, I'll ask you, kid brother. But he laid off of me. He always does when Soda Pop tells him to, most of the time. Next time, get one of us to go with you, Pony Boy, Two-Bit said. You know any of us will. Speaking of movies, Dally yawned, flipping away his cigarette butt. Now I'm walking over to the nightly double tomorrow night. Anybody want to come and hunt some action? Steve shook his head. Me and Soda are picking up Evie and Sandy for the game. He didn't need to look at me the way he did right then. I wasn't going to ask if I could come. I'd never tell Soda because he really likes Steve a lot. Sometimes I can't stand Steve Randall. I mean it. Sometimes I hate him. Derry sighed, just like I knew he would. Derry never had time to do anything anymore. I'm working tomorrow night. Dally looked at the rest of us. How about y'all? Two-Bit, Johnny Cake, you and Pony want to come? Me and Johnny will come, I said. I knew Johnny wouldn't open his mouth unless he was forced to. Is that okay, Derry? Yeah, since it ain't a school night. Derry was real good about letting me go places on the weekends. On school nights, I could hardly leave the house. I was planning on getting boozed up tomorrow night, Two-Bit said. If I don't, I'll walk over and find y'all. Steve was looking at Dally's hand. His ring, which he had rolled a drunk senior to get, was back on his finger. You break up with Sylvia again? Yeah, and this time it's for good. That little broad was two-timing me again while I was in jail. I thought of Sylvia and Evie and Sandy and Two-Bit's mini blondes. They're the only kinds of girls that would look at us, I thought. Tough, loud girls who wore too much eye makeup and giggled and swore too much. I liked Sandy's girl. Soda's girl Sandy just fine, though. Her hair was natural blonde. Her laugh was soft like her china blue eyes. Hiccup. Still, lots of times I wondered what other girls were like. The girls who were bright-eyed, had their dresses a decent length, and acted as if they liked to spit on us if given a chance. Some were afraid of us. And remembering Dallas Winston, I didn't blame them. But most looked at us like we were dirt, gave us the same kind of look that the Socias did when they came by in their Mustangs and Corvairs and yelled, "Grease!" at us. I wondered about them. The girls, I mean. Did they cry when their boys were arrested like Evie did when Steve got hauled in? Or they run out on them the way Sylvia did Dallas? That maybe their boys didn't get arrested or beaten up or busted up in rodeos. Are you creepily coming in to hug me? That's good to hear. We're almost done so that the kids don't have time. I'm going back to here. Hang on. I'm going to cancel the spotlight video. Let's spotlight this person since I have nothing else to put on there. All right. So now people just get to watch me read and you creepily look over the back of me. All right. All right. I'm not. I'm still trying to teach right now while kids awkwardly stare at you.
Oh, wait. How long are you going to be teaching?
Well, I'm trying to finish the last of this chapter, but someone's slowing me down right now. So all these kids are patiently waiting for you to leave while you awkwardly hug me from behind. I don't know who that kid was.
You're so mean to me.
I'm going to make you sleep outside tonight. I was still thinking about it while I was doing my homework that night. I had to read Great Expectations for English, and that kid, Pip, he reminded me of us. The way he felt marked lousy because he wasn't a gentleman or anything. And the way that girl kept looking down on him, that happened to me once. One time in biology, I had to dissect a worm and the razor wouldn't cut, so I used my switchblade. The minute I flicked it out, I forgot what I was doing, or I would never have done it. This girl right beside me kind of gasped and said, "They're right, you are a hood." This, of course, was back in the days when you could bring your switchblade to school and just flick it out and then use it in science class when you were dissecting a worm and then just use that instead of a scalpel, like you guys do all the time. There were a lot of socias in that class. I get put into A classes because I'm supposed to be smart. I think that's supposed to be like advanced classes. And most of them thought it was pretty funny. I didn't, though. I mean, she was a cute girl. She looked real good in yellow. We deserve a lot of our trouble, I thought. I mean, Dallas deserves everything he gets and should get worse if you want the truth. And Two-Bit, he doesn't really want or need half the things he swipes from stores. He just thinks it's fun to swipe everything that isn't nailed down. And I can understand why Soda Pop and Steve get into drag races and fights so much, though. Both of them have too much energy, too much feeling, with no way to blow it off. I looked through the door. Soda Pop was giving Derry a back rub. Derry's always pulling muscles. He roofs houses, and he's always trying to carry 2 bundles of roofing up the ladder. I knew Soda would put him to sleep because Soda can put about anyone out when he sets his head to it. He thought Derry worked too hard anyway. I did too. Derry didn't deserve to work like an old man when he was only 20. He'd been a real popular guy in school. He was captain of the football team. He'd been voted boy of the year. We just didn't have the money for him to go to college, even with the athletic scholarship he won. And now he didn't have time between jobs to even think about college. So he never went anywhere and never did anything anymore, except work out at gyms and go skiing with some old friends of his sometimes. I rubbed my cheek where it turned purple. I looked in the mirror. It did make me look tough, but Derry, they put a Band-Aid on the cut. I remembered how awful Johnny looked when he got beaten up. I had just as much right to use the streets as the socialists did, and Johnny never hurt them. Why did the socialists hate us so much? We left them alone. I nearly went to sleep over my homework trying to figure it out. Hashtag just like e-learning. Soda Pop, who had jumped into bed by this time, yelled sleepily for me to turn off the light and get to bed. When I finished the chapter I was on, I did. Lying beside Soda, staring at the wall, I kept remembering the faces of the socials as they surrounded me, that blue Madras shirt the blonde was wearing, and I could still hear a thick voice. Need a haircut, greaser? I shivered. You cold, pony boy? A little, I lied. Soda threw one arm across my neck, mumbled something drowsily. Listen, kiddo, when Derry hollers at you, he don't mean nothing. He's just got more worries than somebody his age ought to. Don't take him serious, you dig, pony? Don't let him bug you. He's really proud of you because you're so brainy. And it's just because you're the baby. I mean, he loves you a lot. You savvy? Sure, I said, trying for Soda's sake to keep the sarcasm out of my voice. Soda? Yeah? How come you dropped out? I never have gotten over that. I could hardly stand it when he left school. Because I'm dumb. The only things I was passing anyway were auto mechanics and gym. You're not dumb. Yeah, I am. Shut up and I'll tell you something. Don't tell Derry, though? Okay. I think I'm going to marry Sandy. I mean, after she gets out of school and I get a better job and everything. I might wait till you get out of school, though, so I can still help Derry with the bills and stuff. Tough enough. Oh, wait till I get out, though, so you can keep Derry off my back? Don't be like that, kid. I told you he don't mean half of what he says. Are you in love with Sandy? What's it like? He sighed happily. It's real nice. In a moment, his breathing was light and regular. I turned my head to look at him. In the moonlight, he looked like some Greek god come to earth. Hashtag Apollo. I wondered how he could stand being so handsome. Then I sighed. I don't quite get what he meant about Derry. Derry thought I was just another mouth to feed and somebody to holler at. Derry loved me? I thought of those hard, pale eyes. Soda was wrong for once, I thought. Derry doesn't love anyone or anything except maybe Soda. I didn't hardly think of him as being human. I don't care, I lied to myself. I don't care about him either. Soda's enough, and I'd have him until I got out of school. I don't care about Derry. I was still lying. I knew it. I lie to myself all the time, but I never believed me. Real quick, I'm going to jump back over to do a thing. Go to here and share. I'm putting the PowerPoint up for one more second. If you're going to do the Socrative, these are the people you basically get a chance to choose between. If you're wanting to try to tell me which character you want to connect to your life. Ponyboy, the main character. Soda Prop, the good-looking older brother. Derry, the hard and scary oldest brother. Johnny, the one who's scared and gets beat up all the time. 2-Bit, the hilarious comedy one. Steve, the kind of normal one who's just the best friend and hangs out with him. And then Dally, scary thug one. So you're going to pick one of them and explain how they connect to somebody you know in your life, either a family member or friend or adult or teacher. Hopefully you're not going to compare me to Dally, a hooligan children. And then that's all I have. And that finishes us through the end of chapter 1. And then next week, my goal is to pick up and do from chapter 2 on that one. That's it from there. I'll send out more information as far as the, the week next week. We get a chance to do the Spirit week. Oh, my brain. Sorry, my daughter coming in and hugging me and trying to strangle me from behind. daughters. What are you going to do? But pretty much I think that's all I have for you, unless you guys have random questions or anything along those lines that you want to ask. Other than that, I think you're pretty, wait, let's go back to here. I don't need to keep doing me. Back to you guys. Sorry, looking at the pictures on there. Alex, I see it's just a random chair. Jada, that is adorable. I like how you are hiding, although I'm just now seeing your picture for the first time. Hang on a second. Lizzie is in a car and riding somewhere. That is awesome. Hopefully, because you came in late, didn't you? You asked what page we were on. Nicely done. I'm glad you got a chance to join us on that one. Also, you might want to tell whoever you're riding in the car with, they can take the ice scraper out of the back because they're probably not going to need it, because I can see that behind you in the window. So just thought I'd throw that out there, that we're not in Chicago where they just got 3 inches of snow. Down here, it's just not quite that bad. But anyway, just wanted to harass you on that one. For the rest of you, I miss you. There's a lot of fun things we didn't get a chance to do. Like there's like a whole bunch of things I get to bring in, like cologne when he gets like beat up and strangled and stuff like that. I bring in cologne for you to sniff. I get to stab you with a knife, the hubcappy things. And this e-learning thing is awful. I so wish that I could. Apparently Lizzie missed the part where I talked about stabbing a kid, because I saw her freak out when I just talked about that. And the best part, by the way, Lizzie, is where you're seated in the classroom. You're probably the kid I would have stabbed, which would have been even better. So I know, excitement plus. Pearls, it has been 5 minutes. You have another question?
Follow Miss Randall on TikTok.
Is Mrs. Randall on TikTok?
Yeah.
No kidding?
No kidding. She told us.
Ooh, all right. Then I'll have to try. Is it easy to find? Is it just like Mrs. Randall, or can you send me?
It's Maureen Randall, and then it's a picture of her when she was a little kid.
Sweet. All right, I'll have to go follow her also. I'm sure hers are just as awesome as mine. I can't wait to have a teacher TikTok off with her. But how exciting. Ba-boom. All right, and then let's see, back to muting you. Let's see, girl who's hiding in a hoodie.
Okay.
Yeah, that's you.
Guess what?
What's up, chicken butt?
I went to bed at 4 o'clock and I still didn't go to sleep like I did yesterday. I was like knocked out for the next 3 hours.
Hang on a second.
It was like I just.
When you say 4 o'clock, was that 4 a.m. or 4 p.m.?
4 a.m.
So last night you stayed up till 4 a.m.?
This morning. I went to bed this morning.
Right. So last night, because you did not go to sleep until 4 a.m. today, and then you went to bed. And then you still woke up for class. Oh,
yeah. At 8 o'clock.
Nicely done. Well, then I wish you luck falling asleep later today. I'm sure it'll just be the best thing.
Thanks. I'm going to go to sleep at 4 o'clock again. But,
right? 4 o'clock p.m. this time? Uh-huh.
Maybe.
You're like my own daughters. Mohammed, what's up? You didn't spam chat anymore. I didn't have to torture you. Good comment, Mohammed. I feel closer to you already. All right. And then no other kids for me to pick on from there. Just the sadness of you guys not being there. Hey, Alex reappeared. No longer just the empty chair on that one. And hang on one second. Let's pick on Latrell for a second, even though he just tried to hide from me. Where's Latrell? Don't. Where's Latrell? Why can't I? There's Latrell. Unmute. Latrell, out of curiosity, is it? Were you playing Fortnite?
Yeah.
Nah, because that's what you kept trying to play in my class. So I figured that's what you were still playing on that one. So I just thought I'd check on that one. So did you win while you were listening at all?
No, I came in 6th.
That's still
I
better.
got smacked in the back of the head.
All right. Well, 6 is still better than I usually play, so I can't harass you too much. All right. Well done. I wish you luck continuing along those lines then.
Okay, thank you.
And that's a nice couch you have.
Please.
All right. Oh, wait. No.
Amazing. Yeah, you.
Branson, what's up?
Hello, I wanted to say something very important.
Yes, everything we say is very important.
Next week is my birthday where we're supposed to be at Camp T.
Aw. Is it the big 13?
Yeah.
So you get to also have a Corona birthday that you always have a 13th birthday. You get to remember forever and ever about that one time when you kids in the future, like, hey, enjoy your 13th birthday. My 13th birthday.
I never got to
no
experience
one.
it.
So yeah, I
That's fun.
wish you the best of luck for your Corona birthday. Remind me next week. I'll wish you happy birthday when we're having like the actual video.
It's Tuesday.
Ooh, perfect. We'll be back on that day. So yeah, I'll
Yeah.
happily harass you on that day without a problem. Go you.
Okay, I'm used to it.
Mohammed, wait, are you asking me, Mohammed, when's my birthday?
What?
Mohammed, my birthday is next month, May 18th. So it is right before the last week of school. And I turned 44. The big 44, I don't know if that's a big one or not. When you're old, all of them are big birthdays because you can always die the next day. It's the joy of being almost boomer. I know, shots fired at myself. And Jada, before we get off.
Okay, you didn't tell me happy birthday.
When was your birthday?
March 14th.
Well, because that might have been a while ago. My apologies. How awful of me. Happy birthday, Jada, from, let's go with a month ago. But hey, it's better than nothing. Sassy
Thank
chuckle. And Marin, what's up? Wait, try it again. There we go, Marin. What's up?
Okay, so honestly, any of us could die the next day.
So yes, so then I guess, Elena, it's your big birthday also. Because we're all you know, Marin's going to show up and kill you. I believe that's what she was trying to do, is threaten all of us in a low-key way.
No.
No, I support
Any
you.
of us could die literally tomorrow.
I know. I was just trying to be more entertaining, but yes, I completely agree. All right, I think that's all we have. Now, hey, it's finally the weekend after this long, exhausting 3 days of kind of school. Now you guys get to, have the weekend time. So go you on that one. Mohammed, I already told you my birthday. What's up, Mohammed?
Are you smart?
No, I'm still talking to a bunch of teenagers. How smart could I be? I believe this is like the first step of an intelligence test. They put like an adult on a screen with a bunch of small children, and they go, "Are you intelligent?" And this becomes the evidence. I am smart enough not to have a pillow on my head, though, so that's something.
It's very
Yes, I say the same thing to my wife all the time. Young Nathaniel.
What is the assignment for today?
You're going to want to go back to the beginning of the video that I post, and it's going to be on there. Because it's going to be in the video each day. So you have to watch the video and like fast forward till you get to it. It'll be on the screen.
I was what?
What? You were even on here at the beginning because I made fun of you at the very start of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of the screens that talks about the connecting to the character to your life. I even talked about the ending.
Oh, okay. I got it now. Thank you. That's all you had to say.
That's all right.
Thank you.
Children nowadays. All right. I'm going to go upload this video for all the other children. I think that's it. All right. I'm done with you. Go enjoy the outdoors or something like that, or in a car ride with Lizzie, who's going to go scrape a window. All right. See you guys all later. Bye. You guys are fun, and I miss you.